Hey book nerds, welcome to my channel. So today I am filming my January TBR. This is going up quite late, mainly because I just haven't had time to film with the whole Christmas holiday season thing, and I've got some massive career stuff happening this month which I'm still dealing with, but it's coming up now. So this is just going to be all the books I'm hoping to read in January for the first month of 2019. So unlike my usual TBRs, this one actually has quite a lot of physical books, so I'm going to be talking about those ones first. And the first book is An Unwanted Guest by Shari Lapina. This was on my December TBR. I did not get around to it despite buying the physical copy, a physical signed copy, which I'm in love with because it was so cheap, and I'm really excited to read this book. But I still want to read it while it's kind of wintry and cold. This is about a group of people who go to a hotel, I believe, and there's a snowstorm and they get cut off from the outside world, and then they start getting murdered. So I'm really excited for this because it sounds more like a traditional murder mystery than most thriller books. I've read one book by the author, which I think is The Couple Next Door, but I read it so long ago that I can't remember. I think it was pretty good, but I don't really remember a lot about it. But yeah, it would just be really nice to get around to it this month since I didn't last month. The next book is another signed copy that I picked up for an insanely cheap price. That is The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. This I was so happy to come across. This is a sci-fi book slash a murder mystery book about an investigator who relives the same day again and wakes up in each of the guests' bodies. I'm not sure where it takes place, maybe like a hotel or something. It seems to be like a massive house. Honestly, this book is super hyped up about. A lot of people find it disappointing. I'm hoping to not be one of those people. It is huge, it's much bigger than I thought it was, and I would love to get to it this month. It might be pushed back, to be honest, because I don't read physical books when I'm out and about, which is when I do most of my reading, so it's really what I have time to read at home. But I would love to read this. It's been on my TBR for absolutely ages since it came out, and I'm very excited to read it. By comparison, the next book is lovely and short, and that is The Girl in the Window by Penny Joelson. This was a Christmas present from my partner, and I've never heard of this book, never heard of this author, but it's a young adult thriller, and it's about a girl who watches the world from her window and she sees something, presumably a murder. Standard thriller premise, but it's super short. They said that the author was really good, and I trust their opinion, and I'm excited to read this because they gave it to me, and I'm really hoping I love it because it might be slightly awkward if I don't. The next book I'm super hyped for, and that is A Blade So Black by L.L. McKinney, sorry. This I am really hyped for, and I'm so happy I got it for Christmas. I got the physical book from my brother. I'm going to show off the UK cover because I'm used to seeing the American one, and I really like the UK cover. This is essentially Alice in Wonderland meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer, is how it is described traditionally, which sounds perfect to me. It has a black main character. I think it has good representation from what I've heard. The reviews are just starting to come in on BookTube and they're kind of mixed, but the people that I like, or the people that have the similar taste to me in books, have really enjoyed this. And to be honest, I can't see how I can't really enjoy this because that premise alone is just fantastic. So the rest of these books I only have in ebook format, so I don't have anything nice to hold up while I talk about them. But the first one I'm sure people are very familiar with, and that is Bird Box by Josh Malerman. This has been on my TBR, again, absolutely ages. It's a horror book, and it's about a world where people are forced to not look outside because there are these things outside, and if anyone sees them they go mad and they try to kill others and then themselves. So our main character is Mallory, and she has given birth in this world, and she has 2 children in the present day, and it's told between present day and flashbacks to before when she was pregnant. So this is getting a lot of hype because there was just a Netflix film released about it, which I am desperate to watch, but I do want to read the book first, so I'm gonna hopefully blast through that. It's a lot shorter than I thought it was. It's only about 200 pages, so it shouldn't take me long at all. but I'm excited to read my first horror of 2019 and I hope it's a good one. The rest of these books are all thrillers, as is tradition of me reading so many thrillers. The first one is The Caller by Chris Carter. This is about a killer who contacts people through video calls from someone who's close to them a phone. So basically it starts off with two best friends, for example, and one of them gets out the shower and then she gets a video call from her best friend. She answers and her best friend is being held prisoner by the serial killer, and the serial killer says, if you answer 2 questions correctly, she can be let go. I'll just leave her, she can go. And if not, then he kills them in really, really brutal ways. This has been on my TBR for a while. I am reading it because I am planning to do a video where I read the highest rated thrillers based off Goodreads ratings that are on my TBR, and this is one of them. So I'm hoping I'll really enjoy it. The next book I've also heard a fair bit about, and that is 13 by Steve Cavanagh. All I know about this book is that it is about someone is on trial for murder, but that person didn't do the murder and the actual murderer is part of the jury. That's literally all I know about it. I've heard a couple of people say they're planning to read it. I'm fairly certain it came out recently, or at least it came out last year. It just sounds like a thriller that I'll hopefully enjoy. It's got an interesting premise. I've read something by Steve Cavanagh and it was alright, but I don't really remember it. The rest of these books that are on my TBR are all arcs that are either from 2018 and I have to catch up on, or I think one of them is from 2019 and it's coming out in February. So the first one is The Pupil by Goodwin, and this is one of the ones that came out in 2018 and I just never got round to. This is about a literary agent and her husband agrees to mentor this young author, and when the agent meets this young author she realises that she's met her before, or she thinks she has, and I believe it's related to some kind of thing that happened years ago, probably at a school, I'm guessing from the title, unless actually I just realised it's probably a pupil as in mentor to the writer, so completely ignore that, I'm being an idiot. But yeah, it sounds quite interesting. There's not really much information about it. Yeah, I'm hoping this will be an interesting read. I do like it when thrillers focus on events from the past, and I do like it as well when there's kind of ambiguity about relationships in the present. So yeah, hopefully I'll really enjoy this. The next book is Portraits of the Dead by John Nicholl. This has a really creepy cover. It's got like a clown looking out of a drain, which is why I requested it, because honestly it gave me massive It vibes, even though it's a thriller and not a horror. But this is about a woman who gets abducted by a serial killer, and this serial killer has already killed 5 people before, and the detective is basically in a rush against time to save this woman. It's got a little descriptive thing at the start of the blurb, which is why I requested it as well, which says that the serial killer has been watching her for absolutely ages. And yeah, I'm just hoping it'll be a good police procedural thriller. So the final book that is on my TBR is another arc, and that is For Better and Worse by Margot Hunt. This is about a married couple, Natalie and Will, and when they first met they had like a cute little conversation about getting away with murder on their first date. And now in the present day their son is accused of murder, I believe, or some kind of crime, and it says that Natalie does something, because she's a defence attorney, she does something illegal, maybe murder, maybe framing someone for murder, we don't know. She does something to protect her son. Her husband finds out, and then they have to work together to protect their son. It sounds really interesting. I like books about unusual husband-wife dynamics. Usually in thrillers the husband is relegated to kind of the suspect position and he doesn't actually get to be much of a character, so I'm looking forward to reading one where he hopefully is a character. And I like the idea of people doing horrible things to protect the people they love, because I find that a lot more sympathetic and compelling in thrillers than some other plot lines. So yeah, that is all the books that I'm hoping to read in January. Please let me know if you've read any of them. If you have, let me know what you thought of them. Particularly, I know loads of people have read Bird Box, for example, and The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, Blade So Black, any of those ones that are being talked about so much. I would love to hear more opinions on. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, it helps me out massively, and I hope to see you next time.